Welcome back to the Nikki Clarke Radio Show. The show is about transforming lives one story at a time. And I'm always really thrilled to speak to amazing individuals across the globe who are making positive impacts on their world. And we have yet another wonderful gentleman. He is an author, and I'll give you a little bit of information about him. His name is Dondre Homer, and he's a 24-year-old man who was born in Toronto, raised in Brampton, the oldest of 3 children, and now a loving husband and a devoted father with a heart to serve the next generation. He's the founder and executive director, author of a book and organization called 5 Nuggets. 5 Nuggets focuses on instilling 5 essential character traits through literature to help children and youth advance their education. And the funds that are raised will provide financial aid for underprivileged children and youth, granting them access to private tutoring and music lessons. Welcome, Dondre, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Wow. So I shared a little bit about your background, but tell us more about what was the catalyst to have you start 5 Nuggets.
Well, I don't have a technical background or schooling in writing, but the background behind me actually writing this book is I found myself in the same situation 2 years in a row, and it was a negative situation. And the second go around, I just was like, you know what, I had enough, and I just did a lot of self-reflecting. And in the midst of me doing that self-reflecting, my son came to mind, and this was 3 months before I even found out that my wife and I were expecting a baby. And just the motivation of my son, the thought of my son was like, you know what, I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna make a change. And I thought of my life. I thought of the characteristics I've developed over the years, and I was saying to myself, how can I instill these characteristics into my son earlier than me at such an older age? And then I decided to actually write a children's book teaching these 5 nuggets, where I'm able to now read to him every night and be able to instill these characteristics in him. So that's most the background for me actually writing the book.
Okay, so it was born of your own need, right? As a young father, and you're seeing this purpose early through the lens of your experience, and you want to instill these 5 imperative qualities in your child and other children. So what are these 5 qualities?
So the 5 nuggets are perseverance, persistence, patience, contentment, and faith. I feel like with these nuggets, you can accomplish any goal you put your mind to, as well as develop yourself into a leader.
Okay, excellent. Now, how do you teach children these 5 nuggets?
Well, I host like a little curriculum where I basically share life experiences, as well as look at mentors who've taught me these characteristics as well. Looking at people who are successful. So, for example, perseverance and persistence. The person that comes to mind all the time for me when I was growing up was Kobe Bryant. When it comes to the Mamba mentality and really showing and sharing, what it means to be committed to that goal and what that looks like, right? And then when it comes to patience and contentment, I look at someone like Nelson Mandela, and with him, and I look at his story, it's like, okay, wow, this is definitely patience and contentment, because this is someone who served years in jail, and then by the age of 77, that's when he became the president of South Africa. Right. And that's like, wow, that's where the patience and contentment comes in. And then Martin Luther King is for faith, right? We're all here because of someone believed in a dream, right? And just that inspires me to really teach. So I use my life lessons, but I also use those who came before me and those who I look to share these goals.
Absolutely. Can you describe your own personal experience of one particular mentor who, facilitated one of these virtues with you or characteristics with you?
Well, my number one mentor was my best man at my wedding. He goes by the name of Giovanni Lyons, and just if you ever meet him, you get a chance to meet him, and he really taught me about patience and contentment. His character, and especially with me, I was always an entrepreneurial person, but I never really had the patience. I always was just chasing the money, and that's something that I had a problem with. And he just came down and sat down with me and was able to be like, okay, no, this is how you go about these things. This is how you go after your goals. And it's not going to happen. There's not going to be an overnight success. This is something that you have to sit down and take this time and be patient with, and also content with your work as well, because when I look at me doing music, I used to compare myself to all these different musicians. But when I look at myself and be like, you know what, hey, you know what, I might not be at their level yet, but I'm going to get there. So I'm thankful that I'm not where I started, where I have to start it, right? So that's where he's really shared with me patience and contentment, just with his life and him sitting down with me.
Excellent. So now you have a book, children's book. Can you describe what it is and the name of it, and what's the intention for the reader? And as a child's book, I imagine the parent or the adult would be reading to the child, but what is the intention?
Well, the intention was, one, to, again, teach, have simple examples to teach these 5 nuggets to children, as well as I want to build a bonding moment with parents and children. So for me, as a father, I read this book to my son every night, and because I want him to grow up to be like, you know, this is something that my dad used to do to me, with me, I should say, right? And I want him to be able to be like, oh, this is what he was talking about. This is what he was trying to teach me, right? And build these experiences, because it's great to provide for your children, but it's also good to create experiences that they can remember forever.
Absolutely. And the name of the book is 5 Nuggets? Yes,
5 Nuggets.
Okay, excellent. And the illustrations are really gorgeous. Did who illustrated that?
It's a girl that I found on Fiverr. I don't know if a lot of people know about Fiverr, but that is...
So graphic artist?
Yes. So I was looking on Fiverr, and I was able to find an amazing illustrator who was very patient with me and was able to work with me timely and get it done as soon as possible. So, yes.
Excellent. So many resources out there available to authors online. So that's a great resource to know. So how has your life been transformed by pursuing this passion project of yours?
Well, my life has been transformed because of opportunities. Again, when I was growing up, I never really would ever thought of me being a writer, right? But I've always liked storytellers and writers, but I never really found that I would be one of them. So this opportunity, me writing my first book has really opened the doors for me to, again, to do public speaking. And this is something that's new to me. So I'm still trying to get comfortable with it, but I'm trying to learn how to get comfortable from being uncomfortable, you know. So just learning how to communicate, share my story, and really help out the next generation. Because, like, even for me, I'm a 24-year-old husband, and that's kind of like, not odd, but like, it's a lot. You don't really see that often a lot of times, and that's what I get from a lot of people. So I'm able to share my story with even like the younger generation who's, you know, talks about, like, okay, why are you married? What are you look into for a wife, right? Because that's a long life commitment. So I'm not a counselor or anything, but just sharing my little stories, just to be as transparent as possible, has been good to me. And these are the little things that have been coming up where it's like, wow, I never really thought I'll be a person that people would talk to about marriage, but I'm here, and they're talking to me about marriage and these different things, and how can I chase after this goal, and how can I be a better person, right, and become a leader. So those are the little ways how my life has been changed.
Excellent. And where can people find you on social media? Where can they buy the book?
Well, they can buy the book at 5nuggets.com. And if you just look at the website, you'll be able to go into the shop and be able to buy a book. And every book that's bought helps me provide tutoring for a child in our community. So if anyone who's willing to support, please do, because I'm really trying to, again, help the next generation in all aspects.
Excellent. And I really applaud your efforts to support children who may not have the financial means to have extra tutoring available to them, but what you're doing to support them is really building a community and thus building a nation. So thank you for your efforts towards that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we've been listening to our special guest, who is the author and executive director of 5 Nuggets, Dondre Homer. He has a wonderful book out, and please reach out to him on social media. He's also going to be at the Nikki Clarke Show live TV taping coming up in the near future. And I hear a fan of yours, your son, in the background, yeah. So that is awesome. Shows your devotion as a father. So again, Dondre, thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to seeing you soon. You've been listening to the Nikki Clarke Radio Show.
All right.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye now.